what up, though? Look, man, what if I just said, fuck it, I finna get this money off YouTube? What if I said, look, man, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna make videos about. Man, I don't know what I'm doing. But I do know that a lot of these people out there, a lot of the podcasts I listen to and such, are not necessarily highly thought out or entertaining, but they're entertaining enough to watch, man. And I figure, why the fuck not me? I can do this shit, bro. You know? And the reason I know I can do it is because it's not because that I could go out and copy somebody else's formula or do what they did, because that's not the trick, bro. The trick ain't in the formula. You know what I'm saying? It ain't in no gimmick. Although there is people out there that do that, but that ain't what it is, bro. You know, I think that as long as I get up on here and I be my authentic self and just speak my truth, knowing that I am a vessel for abundance, you know, and I create abundance everywhere I go, and I make shit happen just because that's who I am, you know, and really, we all that person. If you remember that's who you is, if you can remember that that's who you are, that you are a vessel for abundance, if you can remember that, man, we all that person, bro. You know, there's people out there that are seeking what you've got, and you're seeking what they've got. And when you get together with that person, your worth is so high because you can create miracles. But first you gotta remember that is who you are. You know, you gotta remember that this shit comes from within. You know, people invest in energy, not ideas. You know, they invest in energy, not ideas, you know. So it's not necessarily about what idea you have, but more so, do you have the energy to get the shit done? You know, do you have the right vibrations to bring about abundance, to bring about the kind of things that people are seeking? Can you do that? I know you can, but first you gotta remember and believe that in yourself, man. And even on a day like today, man, when I'm maybe not really feeling up to it, and I'm feeling a lot of shame, you know, a lot of guilt, all that. Even when I'm like that, man, I still can look within myself and say, I am a vessel for abundance. I bring about abundance wherever I go. I create things. I bring miracles forward in people. That's what the fuck I do. You know? So am I worth $1,000 an hour? Hell yeah, I'm worth $1,000 an hour. To the right person in the right circumstance. Do I demand $1,000 an hour? Hell nah. Not unless that's the kind of value I'm creating. But if somebody's on a tight budget and they need me to come remodel their kitchen, man, I'm finna do it for cheap as fuck, bro. Because what creates wealth is by creating value. You don't create wealth necessarily by watching the numbers and making sure that you always stacking your numbers and shit. If you want to be wealthy, become the kind of person that wherever you go, you help solve problems. You are the kind of person that wherever you go, you help make things better than. You solve valuable problems for people. Regardless of the numbers, man. Because if you become that kind of person, and if that's what you do, them numbers finna come anyways, bro. For real. And you know what I'm saying? People done heard it before, you know. Oh, you know, focus on the value, not on your how much you make it. Focus on what you bring in. You know, and it sound corny, but that should be true as fuck, man. You know, that's one of them truths that be so fucking true. That should be realer than 2 plus 2, bro. For real though. Be realer than 2 plus 2 equals 4. Because there are two kinds of truths in this world. There is scientific truths, and then there are truths that are more true than true. Even if they ain't true, they more true than true, if that make any sense. And I know that some of y'all might be like, what the fuck this fool talking about? There's shit that's more true than true. But no, there really is, bro. Like, I'm finna give y'all an example of it. Here goes something that's more true than true. If you read the Bible and you read Proverbs, all the shit in Proverbs be more true than true. Even when they ain't true, they be more true than true. Like when it says something like, in Proverbs, when it says that you should never snitch on an employee to an employer. You know, don't go out of your way to be that petty ass person that goes out and talks shit about an employee to the manager, you know. Just keep it moving, man. Handle your business and keep it moving. You ain't gotta be no snitch, bro. When it says don't do that, you know, that shit is true as fuck. Don't fucking do it. If you wanna have a good life, don't do that shit. That shit ain't gonna bring nothing good to you. You know what I'm saying? If you think you finna catch a win by getting somebody's livelihood fucked up because you being petty, man, you ain't gonna get shit but some bad karma, bro. You know, so that's why you just keep it moving, bro. If you got a coworker that you don't fuck with and you don't like, man, you know what you do, bro? Man, you just do you, bro. And you keep positive energy, bro, and you just handle your motherfucking business, bro. You don't go run and tell the supervisor, oh, so-and-so took an extra long break. Oh, so-and-so ain't doing their job. Motherfucker, that ain't on you to tell them, bro. That's the supervisor's job to keep up with that shit. That ain't your job, bro. So what you need to do, bro, is focus on yourself, bro. You know? And the thing is if you do just focus on yourself and you keep it moving and you keep positive energy and you ain't out here snitching on motherfuckers, you're gonna live a better life than the person that's doing the opposite. You're gonna have a better life. You're gonna have a better day than the person that's out there bitching about motherfuckers, that's out there being petty about shit. For real though. You know, and the Bible's full of shit like that, bro. The Bible is full of shit like that, you know? And that's why the Bible, you know, especially Proverbs, be so fucking true. You can't deny the fucking wisdom that it says in there, man. For real, though. You can't deny that shit, bro. You know, and some of the times you could be like, you know, you could find an example, you know, where maybe this shit ain't always gonna work out. But here go another example, bro. In Proverbs it says, if you try to fucking sabotage somebody, what's gonna end up happening is you gonna fall victim to the own fucking sabotage that you try to set on somebody else. You know? Now that shit is true as fuck. Now does that mean that every single time you fall victim to the exact same set of circumstances that you try to put on somebody else? No. But that don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it doesn't matter if something is scientifically true, or true in the terms that, you know, maybe scientists look at things, because it'd be even more true than that. It'd be even more true than that shit. Because yes, is it true that 2 + 2 = 4? Yeah, that's true. But it's also true that you should honor your mother and honor your father. You know? And guess what? The second one be a hell of a lot more important and a hell of a lot more true than the first one. Because the first one is just true in the sense that if you got 2 apples and you add 2 apples to it, you're going to have 4 apples. Sure, that's true. But it ain't the same kind of truth as be fruitful and multiply. It ain't the same kind of truth as that. It ain't the same kind of truth that is, you know what I'm saying, live a good life and try to do the right thing and good things gonna happen to you. It ain't that kind of truth. Even though it's not necessarily true that if you live a good life and try to do good things, that good things is gonna happen to you. Sometimes good things ain't gonna happen to you, even if you do the right thing, man. That's just how it be, bro. But you ain't got no fucking choice, bro. You ain't got no fucking choice, because look, man, if you don't do that, then you lose anyways. You know? If you try your hardest and you do the right thing and you still lose, it don't fucking matter. Because what choices you have? Because if you ain't do that, bro, you lost before you even started. You know what I'm saying?